Your inner wild, how to unleash it, and what wild actually means is today's topic of the Soul Sovereignty and Sexuality Podcast with myself, Jessica Falcon, International Soul Embodiment Guide and Divine Feminine Activator. Unleashing your inner wild is a journey. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how to get there. But first, I want you to bring to your mind's eye a vision, a visual of what wild looks like to you. Okay, now for me, especially before I understood what I'm about to talk to you about, I would imagine like feet bare in the earth or crawling around and maybe making strange sounds and roaring and being in the forest or climbing mountains and dancing under the full moon, like all sorts of things like that, right? Which, yes, absolutely can be wild. And there are a lot of images like that around, right? Where we're like, oh yeah, that's wild. That person looks wild. And the truth is, wild is an internal state. It's not so much based on what you're doing. I've seen a lot of people, quote, do what look like wild things, but they are clearly not free inside. They're doing it to fit an image or because they think it's cool, or they're actually acting from ego, not from soul. And that's not wild. True wild is an internal state that you cultivate because you are so connected to the truth of who you are. And you are unafraid of what other people will think about you. So you have healed the fear of judgment, which is incredibly common. You're willing to face ridicule. You are willing to be rejected by others. You don't worry about belonging to another because you fully belong to you. This inner state of wild can be felt even when you're standing still in line at the grocery store, or you're driving your car down the road. And it doesn't require you to be loud or to look crazy or be different from others that way. Your inner wild is a knowing that you give yourself deep, full-bodied permission to be all of you fully expressed. Because you are sovereign. You source from within. The image of wild or particular energy that I associate with wild is Lilith. Now, maybe you've heard of Lilith, who is the legendary first wife of Adam in Jewish mythology, the infamous Adam in the story of Adam and Eve in Genesis of the Old Testament. Lilith, how to describe Lilith? She is a huge energy that has a massive effect in my life and has really brought me into my own inner wild. And Lilith is known for saying to Adam, I want to be on top at least half the time when we have sex. And Adam refused. And he said, no, only I can be on top, because Adam wanted to not only be in control, but Adam believed that he was superior to Lilith because he was a man. This is according to the mythology. And became quite a belief system, right? We're still working to unravel ourselves from today. And Lilith said, I'm not going to submit to you all the time. I am worthy of my own pleasure because I am just as divine as you. God made us at the same time. We were both made in the image of God, and therefore we are both equally worthy And I'm not going to accept a state of submission. She refused to be controlled. She refused to be owned. She refused to be possessed. She refused to tolerate somebody who was blind to her and her majesty and her divinity. And so she left. Now, some of the myths say that she flew up into the skies and the angels went to her and said, please come back, please come back. Please come back. And she said, no, absolutely not. No matter what you promise to give me, no matter what your pleas are, I am true to me and my truth, and I will not submit to the authority of another because I am my own authority, because I am equally divine. This is wild. Wild is deciding this is who I am. You don't get to decide who I am. I know who I am. You don't get to decide my worth. I know my worth. You don't get to tell me what to do. I decide what to do because I am fully in my choice. I am fully in my power. I am fully in my knowing. And I trust myself. The wild will not allow herself to be tamed. She doesn't hold back her truth. She doesn't silence it to make others comfortable. She has released the burden of guilt for making others happy. And she knows that if they're hurt by her deep, heartfelt expression of her truth, it's okay. Because she has placed herself equal to the other and no longer underneath. She's done the inner work to release the chains of obligation and duty that have been perpetuated on her for millennia. She does not live according to external standards. She lives according to her own soul's truth and values and desires, because she has spent the time cultivating that inner awareness, that self-knowledge, which is the key to freedom. She knows that at truth, she is invincible. And I don't mean the kind of invincible that says, I'm invincible because no one can hurt me, because I have armored my heart really hard, and therefore I don't let other people in, and I just don't care. That's not invincible. That's ego. It's false forms of protection around your heart, and it is keeping love out and creating a lack of receptivity within your own being, which is the opposite of feminine power. And so true invincibility is divine invincibility. It is knowing that I'm more devoted to my soul and to being in union with the divine that I am, the embodiment of this divinity, which is wild, than I am to temporary comfort, than I am to the beliefs that have kept me bound until this point, than I am to the shame, than I am to the conditioning of others around me, than I am to the expectations or demands that others have tried to place upon me. Because the wild has literally broken the chains, has literally released the bindings. She has freed herself. She has freed herself from an external view of herself because she sees herself with her own eyes. This is exactly what you will be receiving in the upcoming 7-month initiation into divine feminine power. Each month prepares you for this level of wild. Each month guides you to release the deeply embedded subconscious and conscious beliefs and fears and conditioning and soul traumas that have kept you bound in anything but free and wild. Wild is also returning to your roots, to your primal belonging, to the earth, to nature, to the intricate web of life. We are separated, have been separated, believe ourselves to be separated from nature, from the earth. And you can't be in your wild, in that inner knowing, and that inner freedom, in that inner power. You haven't also connected with the truth of your soul, which knows its interconnection with everything around you, that intimate connection with each element. You do this through your body. The wild has no fear of her body. The wild has no fear of her senses. The wild has no fear of her emotions. She embraces them all. Not only does she embrace them, she uses them consciously to create what she desires, to revel in sexual pleasure, to be in ecstatic state, because her life force energy is fully activated. Because she is fully here, fully embodied now in her divinity. And so the wild, the true wild, as I hope you can see, is not a mental state. It's not going out and getting drunk. It's not even dancing wildly, though that can certainly be a part of it. It's definitely a part of mine. It is not an intellectual understanding. It is not something that requires you do anything to fit an image. Your inner wild can say, don't go jump off that mountain that everybody else is doing so they feel wild, because your intuition is telling you no. You can be the one standing still and be the most wild one around. Because again, your wild is an internal state that you have cultivated. At heart, you are primal. At heart, you are divine. At heart, you are human. At heart, you are a star being. At heart, you are physical. At heart, you are eternal. You are all of it. And the inner wild doesn't ignore any of that. It doesn't need anything to escape. It allows everything to be. And it also knows how to transmute it through love. Deep, radical, embodied love. And so if you desire to free yourself, whether this be in the context of relationships, because so many people feel free when they're alone, but they don't know how to be free in relationships. I know that was the case for me for a very long time. You desire to feel the freedom to fully express yourself, to fully be yourself. You desire the freedom to own all of who you are, including your feminine magic and your feminine power. Then I invite you into the 7-month initiation into Divine Feminine Power, which begins on Friday, September 27th. There are juicy discounts available to you until Friday, September 13th. And so you're welcome to set up a time to chat with me. If you're not sure if you want to do that or one-on-one sessions, or you want a breakthrough, I offer a free 30-minute sovereignty breakthrough session. So go to the website, thepathttosovereignty.com. You will know if this is for you because I'm calling in an intimate group of women for this particular Divine Feminine Power initiation who are called by something much deeper within yourself. You were called by your inner wild. You were called by your soul. You were called by your guide into this potent cauldron of transformation, led by myself and co-created with what I call the Divine Feminine Council, which includes Lilith, because Lilith has guided me into the reclamation of my own inner wild, which happens through the body. I look forward to seeing you there. Sending you so much love. Bye.